that one. This is a Tibetan singing bowl. Pretty sound too, huh? Anyway, for math today, we are going to do the review. It's in your math packet called Extra Practice. There's a front. There's a back. If you like some additional practice, which you don't have to do, you can. There's one more page. So you'll need your packet, you'll need a pencil, and we will take the test on Friday. It'll be a Google Forms test. So you have today to do that extra practice, and tomorrow to do that extra practice, and then finish any of your IXLs, the P's that we've done so far. So tomorrow there won't be an assignment. You'll just be finishing the extra practice if you need to, and finishing those IXLs, and then Friday will be the test. Let's keep going. So we're just going to do a quick review of the different types of things that you will see on your test on Thursday. So the first thing you do is you are going to write a fraction for the shaded part and a fraction for the unshaded part. So each of these problems will have two fractions. So both this, I'm going to count the denominator. See what the denominator is first. I'm going to count the total pieces. So there's 6 here, so that's going to be my denominator for both. And then shaded part comes first. There's 2 shaded. There are 4 unshaded. I'm just going to do that for those. And this is where you're going to have a little more freedom. If there's something that you need more practice with, do more of those. If there's something you're confident on, you do not need to do as many. But I would say do this sheet. If this is really easy for you, maybe skip these, but maybe you're not as confident about finding equivalent fractions, then you can do those. So let's find 2 equivalent fractions for each. Remember, an equivalent fraction is a fraction that equals the same thing. You just multiply the denominator and the numerator by the same number. So you're finding 2 for each. So like 3/4. Maybe I'm going to multiply these both by 2 for my first equivalent fraction. So I'd have 6/8. Maybe my next equivalent fraction, I'm going to multiply them both by 10. Well, then I'd have 30/40. They're equivalent because I'm multiplying the denominator and the numerator by the same thing. So like number 2. Let's say I multiply 2/10. I'm going to multiply them both by 2 again. So 2 times 2 is 4. 10 times 2 is 20. Maybe I'm going to multiply them both by 5 now. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 5 is 50. Number 3, 8/12. I don't always need to multiply either. I could divide if I can divide them both by the same number. So I can divide these both by 4. So I'm going to say 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 2/3. I can divide these both by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Or I could do the same thing, just multiply them. It doesn't matter. So if you want to practice, go ahead and practice on the rest of those. Number 7, Pam baked 20 cupcakes. She took 15 of them to school. Write the fraction of cupcakes she took to school in simplest form. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write this as a fraction. She had 20 cupcakes total, so that's my denominator. She took 15 of them to school, so that's my numerator. And now I'm finding the simplest form. That means the lowest common denominator. So I have to think, can 15 times something get me to 20? No. So now I have to think, okay, what times what equals 15? So 5 times 3 equals 15. And that's pretty much it, 15 and 1. What equals 20 now? So I have 4 times 5, 10 times 2. What do these both share? They both share 5. So I'm going to divide them both by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Set C, you're going to compare the fractions and write less than, greater than, or equal to for each of them. And then this has pictures for you. So I can look at the pictures, 4/5 versus 2/5. Well, obviously 4/5 is more. So if you want to continue to look at those pictures and decide, go ahead, write the less than, greater than, equal than, and equal to in the box. Order the fractions from least to greatest. This is where I can compare by cross multiplying. So I would do 3/4 times 6/12, 3/4 times 2/3, and then 2/3 times 6/12, and cross multiply. So I have 24, I have 18, circle a bigger number. 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 3 is 9, circle the bigger number. 3 times 6 is 18, 12 times 2 is 24, circle the bigger number. So now I'm going to look and see, whoops, this is 36. I did not circle the bigger number on that one. I multiplied wrong. 12 times 3 is not 18. So now I'm going least to greatest, so the one with no circles, which is 6/12, would be my least. One circle, which is 2/3, will be my middle, and 3/4 will be my largest. Remember, if you have all the same numerator, I can just look at the denominators, and the smaller the denominator, the larger the fraction, because this is like if I had a candy bar, and I divide it into thirds, and divide it into eighths, and divide it into sixths. Obviously, I'm going to have a bigger piece with 1/3. I'm going to have a smallest piece with 1/8, and a little bigger piece with 1/6. So, least to greatest, so 1/8, 1/6, 1/3. You guys can do 6 and 7 on your own. Set D, you're writing a mixed number for each picture in standard and word form. So remember mixed number, so I'm going to look here and see how, if I have one that's totally colored in, so like this is totally colored in, so that's a whole number, so that's 1. Now I'm going to count and see what my denominator is. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces total, and 2 are colored in. So my number is 1 whole and 2/5, so I just write it as 1 and 2/5. It's always an and before your fraction. So like this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 are totally colored in. So I have 4 wholes. They're divided into 4 pieces. So that's my denominator, and 3 of those are colored in. So my total fraction would be, mixed number would be 4 and 3/4. If you need more practice, you can do the rest. If you don't worry about it. On the back, you're renaming each fraction as a mixed number and each mixed number as a fraction. So remember, to find a mixed number, I divide. So I think, okay, how many times, I take 9 divided by 5. How many times is 5 going to 9? 1 time. Subtract. 5 times 1 is multiply. Subtract. I get 4. So I have 1 remainder, 4, because nothing else to bring down. So everything before the remainder is your whole number, so it's 1. Everything after the remainder is your numerator, and your denominator stays the same. So it's 1 4/5. To find a mixed number, remember that's where I take 1 times 3. I take the denominator times the whole number, and then add the numerator. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, and I keep the denominator the same. The denominator is 3, so the denominator is 3. Let's do one more each together. So this one, I have 7/3. So I'm going to take 3 divided by 7. How many times does 3 go into 7? 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract. I have 1 left, so I have 2 remainder 1. I'm going to move this direction of room. So 2 is my whole number. 1's my numerator. And I keep this the same. So it's 2 1/3. To find a mixed number into a improper fraction, and multiply the denominator and the whole number. So 3 times 4 is 12. Add the numerator, so it's 13. And I keep the denominator the same. If you want to try those two, go ahead. This one you're using the pictures. I'm not even going to go over those. Like number 4, you're writing the fraction or mixed number for each picture. So like this one, I have 1, 2, 3 groups of 2. And these are totally colored in. So I'd have 2 is my whole number, right? This is not colored in at all. So I have doesn't seem like it could be right though. How would they do that one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 total. That's my denominator. And out of them colored in are 4. Oh, so I have 4, 6. Sorry, I don't know what I was doing before. This one I have 2 holes colored in, and 3 fourths because it's divided into 4. So if you want to do those ones, you can. You have to decide if it's in simplest form. For these ones, first thing I do, these are both even numbers. So it's not in simplest form because I can divide them both by 2. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to divide them both by 2 and get 1/6. Now it's in simplest form. This one, I can think, okay, does something go, is there a number that's a factor for both 15 and 20? And that's where I can write over here again, well, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 is 20, and 10 times 2 is 20. They both share 5, so I'm going to divide them both by 5 and get 3/4. This one, so that was a no. Can 6 go into 9? Well, no, but is there a number that they both share? So I'm going to think again, okay, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9, so they both share 3, so I can divide these both by 3. And I would get 1/3. You guys can try number 11. This one you're writing greater than, less than or equal to, so all you'll do is cross multiply. So 3 times 9 is 18, 12 times 2 is 24, the bigger number is 2/3. This one they both share a 4, so I'm going to just look, and the numerators are the same, so I'm just going to look at the denominators. Remember, if the numerators are the same, the smaller the denominator, the bigger the fraction. So 4 and 1/3 would be the same. These two I can cross multiply, which you can do by yourself. Greatest to least. We did this on the other side, but just for a quick review. This one I can look at, and I know 12/12 is 1 whole. So I know that's my biggest number right away. I'm going greatest to least, so I'm going to put 12/12. And now I'm going to compare 7/8 and 3/4. 8 times 3 is 24. 4 times 7 is 28. So 7/8 is bigger. Whoops, I'm going from the wrong way. You got to go from greatest to least. So 7/8 and then 3/4. So if you want to try those ones, you can. You name each fraction as a mixed number, and each mixed number is a fraction. Same thing we did up on the top. Just a quick review one more time. So to go from mixed number to improper fraction, I multiply the denominator and the whole number, and then add the numerator. So I have 16 plus 1 is 17/4. And then to go back the other way, I take the denominator and divide it by the numerator. How many times is 5 going to 17 evenly? Well, 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract. I get 2. So I have 3, remainder 2. So 3 is my whole number. 2 is my numerator, and my denominator stays the same. So you guys can try those ones if you need to. The bottoms are just the same. You are putting them in order or reading the question like this one says, what holds the greatest amount? Who ran the greatest distance? If you feel like you need any more practice, there's these. And actually, we should talk about this because I think this might be on the test. So we'll just do a few of these. Adding and subtracting fractions is really simple. Sorry, this lesson's getting kind of long. But adding and subtracting fractions, if the denominator is the same, you just add the numerator. So like 3 and 3 is the same. So my denominator is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. I had 1 already. They added 2 more, so it's 3/3. Denominator is the same. I had 2 plus 2 is 4. Pretty simple that way. When you're on a number line, you just jump up. So I started at 3/8, I jumped up 2, got to 5/8. Or 3 plus 2 is 5. So if I have the denominators are the same, you're just going to add them. So I would have the denominators always stay the same, the numerators get added. So 3 plus 1 is 4. And now I can reduce this. I know 4/8. I can divide them both by 4 and get to 1/2. If you want to work more on those, you can. It's the same thing with the back and subtracting. The denominators stay the same. I just subtract the numerators. 5 minus 2 is 3, so I have 3/6, which I could reduce if I wanted to. If I jump down here, I have the 10th stays the same because my denominator. 8 minus 3 is 5. 5/10, so I can divide these both by 5. So I have 1/2. Can't write. 1/2. So that's the end of that packet. So what you're doing is you are just, for sure, working on that review page. I just did that extra practice page. Whatever ones you're not the most confident in, spend more time on those. If you finish that fairly early, you could work on the back and then work on any IXLs that you might need to finish. So today and tomorrow is your time to catch up on IXLs and your review time. And we will take the test on Friday. So you have today, Wednesday, and tomorrow, Thursday, to work on any. I don't want this down here. To work on any IXLs that you may need to finish. So we did all the P's, 1 through 16. We did not do 17. We did not do 17 with a dot. We did not do 18's dot, although you could work on that if you wanted to. I think that popped up in here in the middle of it. Anyway, and then we did up to 24. So anything you have not got to 80%, you can work on. If you are still a little unsure and you want to practice, you can go back to your fraction packet if you have not already finished it, and you could finish the review, you could finish the model addition. Those things would be great to work on. If you have any questions, now would be the time to get a hold of me so you're prepared for the test. It's on Google Forms again. I think there's 22 questions, but it's all the stuff we've been working on in the packet and on IXL. So if you're getting 80%, you should be just fine. So today is just a catch-up day. Tomorrow is 2. And you got it. See you later.